What's going on, family and friends? Welcome back to My Thoughts Uncut. I am your host, Terrence Manning. Today, we're going to talk about ICE going into Chicago daycare to detain a possible illegal alien that was working at the daycare. Let's take a look.
Officials in Chicago say an employee at a daycare and preschool was arrested by immigration agents while children were being dropped off today. The Chicago Alderman Matt Martin says the employee ran inside from her car after the officers pulled into the parking lot. Now, they reported to have followed her to question people right around the time school was starting. Democratic Congressman Mike Quigley says the employee had a work permit and agents entered the school with.
Okay, just because you have a work permit doesn't mean that you're legally working here. There's been people that had CDL licenses, but they weren't legally working here. There's a person was a superintendent at a school. He wasn't legally working here. He wasn't supposed to even be here. So just because you got a work permit doesn't mean you're legally here. So that's irrelevant.
Without a warrant. Witnesses say children and parents left in tears. Watch.
I am horrified by what has happened here today. Our community has been shattered. Our families have been traumatized. The children were crying. The parents were crying.
Let's get this straight. The reason why the parents are traumatized, so they say, is now they got to find somewhere else to have their child be watched while they go out to work. That's the only reason. And I'm pretty sure the daycare was not as expensive as the other daycare options that they had. That's why they're traumatized. She's not crying. She's covering her eyes for a reason. These people behind her, they don't care about the people that are getting detained that are legally here. What they care about is who's going to watch my kid when I go out and work. That's what it is. I don't feel bad for these people because they know that person was illegal. And she wasn't arrested. She was detained.
It's a scene that I don't think any of us have ever witnessed before and will ever forget.
The Department of Homeland Security has a completely different account, saying officers attempted to conduct a targeted traffic stop of a female illegal alien from Colombia who refused to pull over. And they say the woman and a man she was with ran into the daycare and attempted to barricade themselves.
Now, you see, this is what happened. This is why they got her and they detained her, because of the actions that she did when she tried to run inside the daycare. Why are you going to try to run inside the daycare knowing that they're trying to talk to you or detain you? You try to put them in a position to where they look bad and they won't follow you, but it didn't work. If they have any suspicion that you are illegal, they are allowed to talk to you and detain you. That's just the bottom line. The laws for ICE agents aren't the same laws for local law enforcement officers.
Inside, in the process, recklessly endangering the children.
Thank you for watching.
We're going to look at another source so you guys get it from just one more source, at least.
We've been hearing a lot from parents and exactly what you said. They're concerned about a woman who came here to work to take care of their young children, who was chased into the facility with men wearing ice vests and then was taken away. They don't know what to tell their children. And in fact, they say as adults, they are very concerned about what has transpired.
Tell your children crime don't pay. Being here illegally doesn't pay. Tell your children that they should have been here legally. If she cared about these students, she would have been here legally. And while she was here illegally, she should have tried to get her actual U.S. citizenship. If she was, they all say they do. They all say they're in the progress of doing it, but who knows?
Here. They say there were children inside the facility when this happened. Rayuto del Sol Daycare. It's a Spanish immersion daycare and preschool.
Oh my
It's
gosh. What is she crying for?
Their teacher was apparently taken away. Witnesses describe officers chasing the teacher inside the daycare center, not showing any type of warrant, not looking at her papers. And despite the co-workers saying the woman telling agents she had documentation, she was taken away. Parents we spoke with are upset and angry. They are worried of where agents might go next if they would enter a private daycare facility where children were inside. Alderman Matt Martin also sharing his concern today.
You had agents with guns who were walking around the facility with teachers inside, with children inside. And so we are, of course, demanding that she be released immediately.
Who are you to demand that she be released immediately? Do you know her status here? Do you know if she's legal? And if they detained her and they find out she's not legally here, what are you going to say then? You're not going to care. You're going to go along with your day. They don't really care. I don't understand why they try to pretend that they care about these things. What's the difference between local police walking around the building and facility? Nothing. They wouldn't feel intimidated. It's because they want illegal immigrants in this country because it benefits them financially. It's cheaper labor, cheaper employment. And now these people that were at this daycare, these parents, they're upset only because they have to find someone else that can watch their kids. That's the only reason. They're not traumatized. And these little kids, they're not traumatized. Probably infants. And they're not even gonna remember this crap. They ain't gonna remember this.
Schools are supposed to be places of safety, of security, not places where we have to talk to our children about why their teacher is being abducted.
Your teacher's being detained because she's not a person of legal status here. That's who you tell, that's a teachable moment for your kids to tell them you do things the legal way. You can start from a young age. No problem with that. They know about cops and robbers at a young age. Teach them about good and bad at a young age, which you assuming you do already.
And screaming and running away from agents with guns and masks while she's trying to enter the school.
Parents described the scene this morning, their children crying, the teachers crying, parents also crying, concerned about what happened here today and wondering how to tell their young children about what had happened, how to tell young children to respect authority, and at the same time trying to explain what's happening in the world and what happened to their teacher. Later today, there is a press conference where we understand more parents and more elected officials will be speaking about this incident in particular, where we are learning that these ICE agents went into a private daycare where it is clearly posted that only authorized personnel are allowed inside, not showing a warrant. And despite the protestations of those working here saying the woman.
You don't need a warrant if you're an ICE agent when it's out in public. She ran outside in a public area into the daycare. They are allowed to pursue her. These people don't even know the rules. Also, what's all this cry about with this lady being a daycare worker? Why aren't they crying and sobbing about the murders and the crime and the violence and the drug dealers inside Chicago? Where's this uproar with that? How come I don't see that every week or every day on this is a Chicago news station? Why don't I see people protesting about that? About the black on black crime that goes on in Chicago, about the illegal immigrants who commit crazy violent crimes in Chicago. Why aren't they protesting about that? Why aren't they terrified and traumatized about that? But you tell me they're traumatized about a daycare worker who allegedly is illegally working there, who got detained. That traumatizes them. She's still alive and well. But all these other people that are in Chicago that with all these crimes, like I said earlier, they don't care about that. Where's the uproar in that? Where are all these activists when it comes to that? Where are all these people, the Chicago locals, saying, "Hey, enough is enough. This crime is too much." See, they don't care about the true problem, the true root of the issue in Chicago. They only care about things that benefit them, and that's sad.
They were detaining, had documentation. They did not look at anything. They left with her. So what is happening to her? We know folks are trying to help her and her family. We understand the woman who was taken has been a teacher here, an infant teacher, and is a mother herself. So much more to come on this, but that is the latest of the situation for now. The daycare is closed for the day as this community, this daycare community and people near.
We're going to look at one more source and let's see what happens. Oopsie.
There is outrage in Chicago tonight following a federal immigration arrest at a daycare center.
While witnesses say it was a chaotic scene, officials say the daycare was not the primary target. Usher Qureshi has the story.
This video captured the moment ICE agents dragged a pre-K teacher.
Uh-oh. That's a black ICE agent. Uh-oh. What are you going to say now, people? You're going to call them racist and fascist? That's a black guy right there. Uh-oh.
Out of a daycare center on Chicago's north side. She can be seen pleading with the agents as she's pushed up against a waiting sedan. At one point, she shouts in Spanish, "I have papers."
ICE agents followed a teacher into the facility without a warrant and abducted her in front of her students. This woman...
You see the words, the rhetoric they use, abducted? She wasn't abducted. She was detained. She was detained and she fled. Why are you going to flee? If you're not guilty, why would you flee? If a cop told me to stop and wanted to talk to me, I'm not going to just run away. Because if I do run away, his first or her first instinct is, okay, he's guilty of something, because why are you running away? If they were going to talk to you, talk to them. If you have your papers and you're legally here, why didn't you just calmly express that to the officer? And if you can't speak the language, then somehow you could have communicated with Google Translate, or you could have had someone else come out and translate for you. But running away is your first instinct. 9 times out of 10, you're guilty.
Woman is a trusted, loved member of her community with a work permit.
Officials identified the woman as Diana Galliano, a Colombian national in the country since 2023 and seeking asylum. Children, teachers, and parents inside at the time of the arrests.
See, so she's seeking asylum, which doesn't mean that she is legally here. She could have missed a court date and they could have had papers to already detain her and remove her. So people are assuming that she's legally here.
Said they were traumatized by what they saw.
What has happened today is domestic terrorism, and it is absurd and horrific that they have now targeted our daycare centers.
Until recently, sensitive areas like schools and hospitals were generally off limits to immigration enforcement. That changed under the second Trump administration. Today's incident, the latest in a string of controversial arrests that have been happening across Chicago as part of the Trump administration's immigration crackdown.
In a statement.
And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. This rhetoric about domestic terrorism is nonsense. Domestic terrorism is what happened to Elon Musk when people started to bomb his vehicles and the Tesla dealerships, putting them on fire. That's domestic terrorism. But see, a detain/arrest, that's not domestic terrorism. Far from it. What happened with BLM that time because of George Floyd, with all these vandalisms and burning fires and burning police stations, that's domestic terrorism, not what that lady claimed. And this is just sickening to hear these things where they're so upset about these illegal immigrants that are here, but they're not upset about the crimes that go on in their own cities, where innocent people are getting murdered. Women are getting just randomly punched in public. Drug dealers rampant everywhere. So let me know what you guys think, because this one of these subjects that it's just really grinds my gears. So let me know what you guys think in the comment below. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let me know what you guys think again. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye. Peace out.